At ngayon naman, usapang pagtulong sa ating kapwa. Isang organisasyon ang bidang-bida dyan dahil ang ginagawa nila ay nagtatayo sila ng mga bahay. At ito ang Habitat for Humanity. And this morning, we have a very special guest because we have Sir Charlie Aico, ang CEO ng Habitat for Humanity. Good morning.
Good morning. Magandang umaga po.
Yes, sir. Siguro maganda po nga bigyan natin ng refresher kung magay ating mga audience kung ano nga ba po talaga itong Habitat for Humanity.
Okay. Ang Habitat for Humanity is an international Christian matunog ngayon yung NGO. Pero bigyan kita ng background. It was founded in the US, doon sa Americus, Georgia. Kasi ang original nito, we had a founder who thought na kailangang makatulong siya. He was only in his 30s. Ang pangalan niya si Millard Fuller and the wife was Linda Fuller. And during that time, meron siyang retreat doon sa Koinonia Farm. At the time sa Southern Georgia, alam niyo naman yung mga issue about race noon. Ang issue pa is how to bring the white and the blacks together. So he had a retreat in Koinonia Farm because that farm wanted to bring all people to really live the faith. Ang sabi ni Millard Fuller kasi, to be a Christian is more than just talking about faith and singing about love. So, ang ginawa niya, he went to Zaire, Congo, and then he tried a concept, ang tinatawag niya partnership housing, kung saan yung mayayaman, may donation, yung mga mahihirap na nangangailangan ng pabahay will provide a sweat equity, yung labor nila, and then add to that volunteers. So the end result will be a house na affordable sa mga. So he started that and then he went back to the US and registered Habitat for Humanity as an international NGO. And then he invited President Jimmy Carter to help him promote that idea. His vision when he was interviewed once was, he was asked, what do you look for in the future? Sabi niya, ang vision ng Habitat is a world where everyone has a decent place to live. Hindi naman parang panaginip na lahat, or ilagay natin sa Pilipinas, na ang vision natin sa Pilipinas, na lahat ng Pilipino matutulog, titira sa isang dissenting tahanan. Yun ang vision niya. Now, how do you do that? Our mission is, we bring people together. Kaya meron kaming volunteers. And then, what we do is we build homes, we build communities, and then ultimately we build hope. Bakit inuuna namin yung bahay? Kasi sa theory of change ng Habitat, naniniwala kami na ang bahay is the platform where further development can start. Kasi kung pagising mo lang sa umaga, natatakot ka na matangay sa baha yung bahay mo. There's no stability dun sa tao. So, start with the house and then we can do other developments. Yun po ang we operate in around 80 countries worldwide. Habitat Philippines is parang a local franchisee of Habitat International.
And how long has Habitat for Humanity been in the Philippines? And what have been some of your notable achievements so far?
That's a very good question because we just celebrated our 25th year last May.
Oh, happy anniversary.
So yeah, we are already 25 years in the Philippines. Over those years, ang nagawa natin would be siguro mga nasa 50,000 houses na. And iba't iba. We are operating Metro Manila. Meron tayong medium-rise building doon sa Taguig. We are also operating in Mindanao. Right now, we are partnering with the government to build daycare centers in ARMM. Ito yung mga delikadong lugar like Maguindanao, Basilan, Tawi-Tawi, Sulu. We go there because yung mga daycare centers kasi kasama yan sa basic facilities sa isang community. So we also do that.
Ito sir, matanong ko po, syempre ang dami nyo na nga po nga naitulong at naipagawang mga bahay na ipatayo para po sa mga nangangailangan. Ito po nga Habitat for Humanity, saan po kayo kumukuha ng pondo po para gumawa nga po at makapagbigay ng ganitong klaseng tulong hindi po, at serbisyo sa mga mamamayan?
Okay. Again, a very good question kasi ang mga NGOs, di ba tinatawag natin civil society organizations? Kasi ito yung response ng publiko sa isang serbisyo na nakikita nila na kinakailangan, but there is a gap in the government service. So, ang Habitat, usually we get our funds from private donors, individuals. Yung nagbibigay ng maliliit, 100 pesos, nagbibigay sila. Also corporations. And then, pagdating sa government, partnership yung sistema namin. We provide at least a 20% counterpart sa mga projects namin with government. But usually, a bulk of our money comes from private donations.
Okay, so how does one become part of Habitat for Humanity?
To avail of our services or to be a partner?
To be a partner.
Okay. To be a partner, you can go to our website and then you can volunteer. Kailangan namin ng maraming volunteer kasi it's the way in which we can bring the cost of the house. No, that's one. And then, if you want to avail of our services, ang kailangan namin is you group together. Kasi once you group, it's easier to talk to them. Yeah.
Yes, and now, sir, how many members do you have po sa Habitat? Like, how many volunteers, like, yung core, kumbaga?
Iba-iba kasi meron kaming special events. For example, last summer, meron siguro kami mga 5,000 volunteers. Sa Cagayan de Oro ngayon, sa Typhoon Sendong, meron kami mga at least 100 volunteers every week na tumutulong.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Over and above that, meron din tayo mga hired na skilled workers kasi you cannot do all the houses na lahat volunteers lang.
Sir, ito po nga Habitat for Humanity, yung mga housing na ginagawa po ninyo, saan po located all over the Philippines?
Okay, dito sa Metro Manila, we have in Navotas, we have in Taguig, Pasig. Yung sa Taguig, sa Pasig, mga medium-rise buildings yon. And then, meron tayong old projects dito sa Caloocan, yung sa Camarin, Bicol. Sa Mindanao, marami tayo doon sa Cagayan de Oro. We have sa Typhoon Sendong, we're building 6,000 houses there. Wow. And then, meron tayong smaller projects in Davao, Butuan, Bacolod. We are now doing a partnership. Kasi isang partner namin ngayon is the Department of Education. We are trying to build low-cost houses para sa public school teachers. Dito sa Quezon City, meron tayo sa Would you believe, maraming public school teachers doon nakatira sa slum areas.
Really?
Really.
And then sila po ang inyong pinaprovide ng mga...
Isa sa tinutulungan natin, like sa Quezon City, doon sa Payatas, meron tayong dalawang grupo yon, informal settlers at saka public school teachers. You could just imagine kung ikaw teacher, pagkatapos doon ka umuwi sa isang slum area, parang yung self-esteem mo, wala na. Yeah. Tapos takot ka pa. So we partnered with DepEd. Ang total need nila is 180,000. Yun ang number ng public school teachers na walang bahay.
Wow.
Throughout the country, ang total backlog ngayon, in other words, the number of Filipino families na walang bahay, 4 million. 4 million. Now, siguro you're familiar na if you go to a loan, meron tinatawag na socialized housing, merong low-income housing, may economic housing. Ang socialized housing supposedly para sa who could hardly afford. No? Ito yung pinakababa. Ang socialized housing is priced at 400,000 and below. Okay. Ngayon, in a recent study by the University of Asia and the Pacific, out of the 4 million families na walang bahay, 834 of that cannot afford a socialized housing even if the price of the house is only 300,000 pesos. Now, I would challenge you if you live in Manila. Punta tayo sa mall, maraming nagbibenta doon ng mga condominium. Okay? Wala akong binibenta doon na pabahay na 400,000. Okay? Bakit? Dahil most of the private development ngayon napupunta sa high-end development. At least sa economic housing, nasa mga 700 all the way to mga 2 million, 3 million. Yes. So you have a whole segment ngayon na they cannot afford a house. Even a teacher, in theory, you can borrow sa pag-ibig siguro mga 1 million, pero you cannot afford it. Sa mga mahihirap, they can only afford up to 400,000 pesos. We made a model. Ito kasi, Carla, yung dalawang aspeto nito. Una is, if you are in Metro Manila, di ba, right now the government is trying to move 100,000 families from the waterways away para namang makagawa tayo ng mga flood control. Yes. Okay? Madalian yan, 100,000. Ito yung challenge. Una, kailangan natin in-city or on-site relocation. Bakit? Kung itapon natin sila sa malayo, wala silang livelihood. So, hindi obra yung programa. So, for example, doon sa Malabon, kailangan ang project natin nasa Malabon lang so that they can continue with their livelihood. First challenge, you cannot build a medium-rise building, yung isang maliit na condominium na maybe mga 18 or 20 square meters with loft na yun. You cannot build it at 400,000 pesos. Imposible. Bakit? Ngayon, sa mga building code natin, pagdating mo ng mga 5 stories, kailangan na may automatic sprinkler system. Mga ganon. So, in other words, mahal. We talked with the Subdivision and Housing Developers Association. Ito talaga yung developers. Tinanong namin, magkano ba ang kaya nyo to build? Ang sabi nila, huwag nyo lang isama yung lupa, huwag nyo lang isama yung site development, yung structure itself. Sabi nila, at least 550,000 pesos per unit.
Wow.
Okay.
And sir, ito po yung nakikita natin, ganyan po ang demo unit po, kumbaga. Ito po yung size po.
Yes, yun kasi yung pinakita nyo is ito yung mga
Okay.
Oo. Dito sa Metro Manila, dito lang tayo sa Payatas gumagawa ng row housing. Meron din tayong walk-up apartments na 2 stories. Pero ang new programs natin ngayon sa big cities, highly urbanized areas, talagang aabot tayo ng mga 5 stories na condominium.
Sir, in relation naman to the pork barrel scam, alam naman natin na medyo nagkaroon ng bad reputation ng mga NGOs. Have you
Yes.
been affected in any way?
In terms of yung supporters namin, hindi naman. But I'm worried about the whole NGO industry.
Yes.
Kasi yun nga, ang NGO operates on the basis of trust. No, na naniwala yung publiko sa amin. But on the other side of it, opportunity to. Because it could be a time for cleansing. Kung sino talaga yung real NGOs na out there to serve, sino naman yung nagsamantala lang sa sitwasyon. In fact, meron ng sistema. Meron tayong PCNC. Yung, it is the body to accredit NGOs, to certify. So, if you're an NGO, you apply to PCNC, magbibigay sila sa iyo ng certification that you are a legitimate NGO. Ang dami yung dadaanan nun. Magsasubmit ka ng track record, magsasubmit ka ng financial statement, all the audited statements. So, ang una dito, kung meron tayong, tulad sa inyo, di ba merong KBP? Sa education, merong PASCO. Parang merong accreditation, self-cleansing. So, unang control mechanism yon. Pangalawang control mechanism, of course, is yung audit ng government. If you avail of government funds, you have just to go through the audits of the government. Kami as an international NGO, mas mataas yung requirements sa amin kasi we have to follow global standards. For example, yung accounting firm namin, yung auditing firm namin, we can only choose among the biggest 3, for example. And being an American-based organization, we have to follow all the transparency requirements of all US-based organizations. Parang our level of accountability and transparency is just like any big corporation. Ganun ang operations namin. So, I look at it as an opportunity naman. Parang malinis yung sector na yan.
Okay.
Sir, ito siguro panghuli na lang po, baka meron po kayong mensahe na nais po ipaabot sa ating mga manonood ngayong umaga.
Well, my only message is that kung ano man yung narinig nyo sa NGO, as I have said, marami sa mga NGOs for years have been working in the Philippines. Ang dami na. Alone is 25 years. Pero hindi naman lahat santo doon. So, let's use this as an opportunity that we can cleanse the sector. And then we hope that you can continue to support. Kasi ang NGO, private initiative with a public good na service. Yun lang ang difference. Kasi ang business is privately owned with a private purpose. Ang NGO is privately owned with a public purpose. So sana naman, hindi mag-suffer yung tinutulungan ng mga NGO natin because of the current situation right now.
Okay, maraming salamat. Once again, that was Sir Charlie Aico, ang CEO ng Habitat for Humanity.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you very much.